excited to bring this part to you. This is kind of the thing that I am really best at right now, I would say, is Facebook ads, and in particular for real estate, because that's the area and arena I am in. So thank you guys for, sharing a little bit of your lunchtime if you're on the East Coast, and any of my, I guess, other people, we're still at 9 a.m. this morning. So here in Arizona, which is where I'm located at. So I'm going to just kind of dive straight into this. I'm going to share my screen right now. And thumbs up if you can see it on there. Paula, can you see?
I get you.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Perfect. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is really creating high converting Facebook ads. And so I wanted to provide you guys with a resource of sorts on, this is probably, I think it's about 10 or 12 of our high performing ads that we've run across our accounts, with several of our real estate accounts that we run. So I would encourage you at this point to go ahead and just register. It's don't miss the period in between the rebrand.ly, but it is just rebrand.ly/FB download. I think that's just FB download. So I'll provide you with that. There'll be a few images and things in there as well, but you'll see some of that today also in our presentation. So so take just a minute there. Let me see if I can, if you can maybe type that too. Do they see the chat or they don't because it's a webinar?
Yep, I'm going to throw it into the chat because that gets shared in the recording as well. So
perfect. Okay, awesome. That way I can kind of move off of this slide too. So if you are on your computer, you can take a screenshot of it as well so that you can come back to it. So just, and anything on here, feel free to take some screenshots of it. If there's anything that kind of intrigues you, please make sure that if you do have questions that you do throw those in the chat so that I can, Paula will field those and I will answer them as we go. So just a little bit about us and what we do at Phoenix Social. My goal is really to help real estate agents create and launch marketing systems. And that is so that they can get booked appointments with both buyers and sellers. We have a lot of different ways that we do that. This is one of them, education. I'm in the process of developing several courses, and we do done with you lead generation. So if you're somebody who likes to learn, I was telling Paul, we will probably in an hour not be able to cover what we really need to cover to get things actually implemented. I'm going to give you kind of a top level overview today with some examples of what works and what doesn't work. But if you want to go a little bit more in depth, we do some done with you programs, and then we also do done for you if you're kind of one of those that are like, I don't have time to deal with things. We do the lead generation part for you as well. So really depends on where you're at in your business. And a lot of times I just like to do even just a marketing, what I call game plan strategy session. And that for you guys, I'll give you an opportunity at the end to book a time to go through your marketing strategies from branding to, to lead generation, to what you guys are doing and what's working, what's not working. I can, hopefully provide some value for you guys that are interested in maybe taking your marketing to the next level. So, so we're going to look at today how to craft really better ads that reach the right people. What are the things that you want to make sure you include in your ads, and how we can use those Facebook ads to help grow your real estate business from that perspective. So I like this quote. If you've, this is one of the books that I've read. It's actually called Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. And copywriting is a pretty big piece of what we do in marketing and advertising. But really the only purpose of an online ad is just to get the right people to click and the wrong people to keep scrolling. So it's our job to really engage people in creating an ad that will get them to click, and what we call a thumb stopping or scroll stopping ad. And so as you're thinking about how to create a high converting Facebook ad, the things you want to think about are trying to increase your click-through rate. And that might be a new term for you, but when you provide a call to action on a Facebook ad, the idea is across the industry, in terms of advertising, the industry click-through rate is about 1%. what our goal is going to be is to basically get people to click through to whatever our offer is at a rate higher than 1%. We want to do better than the industry average. And that's really our job as, I guess, is to control our data. And many of you guys probably have paid for Zillow leads or maybe Realtor.com leads in the past. And they're using our data. I will say that they are definitely using our data and you're not always getting to have that data exclusively. I think the one thing and the one benefit that I would say about Facebook ads or YouTube, Google, LinkedIn ads, any of those other platforms is you get to control your own data. So that's a really big piece and a really big deal, really, when you get to have exclusivity with your leads. Okay. If you are not getting more than a 1% click-through rate, my suggestion, and I'll give you guys some suggestions on what things you can change as you're thinking about this and you get into a marketing mindset. But really, there's a lot of things that we kind of want to start with, and we'll talk through that in a little bit here. Copywriting is also important, especially now. We are going to talk a little bit about, maybe you guys have had some ads rejected. If you've had ads rejected and are kind of like, what the heck is going on? I get this a lot when I'm doing these workshops. A lot of agents asking, why are my ads getting rejected? What is happening? Because you are in real estate, and more than likely you have the word realtor, real estate, somewhere in your description, we are required to use what's called the special ads category. And so we'll talk a little bit about how we get around that using copywriting, okay? And what particular aspects of copywriting you want to make sure you get into. Okay. And then stopping the scroll, we talk about stopping the scroll. So as we're going through our feed, anybody, that you're trying to attract, we want to create an image that will stand out among other posts. The image actually is the piece that stops the scroll. The rest of it might, your headlines and things like that also contribute to that, but the majority of this has to be the image. If you're not providing the correct image that's going to get to your target audience, or it's not good and it's not resonating with who you want to talk, who you're talking to, people are just going to keep going, right? So our goal is to create an image that will stop the scroll. So we're going to talk about what that is as well. Okay. So click-through rate, we talked a bit about this, but really what we're saying is, just as it sounds, people who click through your ad to go to whatever call to action you might have, let's strive for bigger than 1%. I am going to go into our ads manager and show you some of the campaigns that we run so you can see where you can actually see that particular statistic as well. So, in terms of the ad image is actually responsible for about 90% of a campaign's performance. This was in a study that was done by Consumer Acquisitions. If all eyeballs are on that image, what you want to make sure is that you're summarizing what that ad is offering on the creative itself. So just recently, I would say actually it was just in September, Facebook had a rule where they were requiring that you couldn't have more than 20% of the image have text on it. That has changed. There is no, they've taken that restriction off basically of us. So we can now add text to our images and not get in trouble for that, because it used to be a reason why they would reject ads. The idea is that, if you're thinking about a Facebook post itself, what will happen is that they will read whatever's here first. They'll read this, which is typically our headline of an ad, and then here, and then they'll come back up to the top. So our eyes kind of follow down the page and back up to the end. And that's just, how things go. So we want to make sure that we're creating a pretty good image for that. So let's talk through kind of the ad and these images that we want to kind of do. So obviously you can create an image. It can be a video, it can be a carousel image, it can be a grid image. We talked about that last week in the Canva class. If you missed that, you might ask Paula for the replay of that, but we did go through how to build a grid image, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as well. Right now, video and grid images are what are performing the best for us as far as images go. And so with that, though, you want to make sure that whatever you're calling out to, potentially that this is what comes through the most. And so you can add text to that. That is one of the things we did talk about last week in Canva, as well as how to add text. So again, I would say maybe go back to that class or ask Paula for the recording of that as well. The main headline you can see in an ad typically, and you'll know it's an ad because it says it's sponsored. But in an ad, the headline is where we're going to draw to next. And so we'll want to make sure that we're calling out what exactly it is that our offer is getting to. So this one happens to be for a listing, right? And or in this case, if you look at your call to action, it says visit our website to see the details. So this one is a listing campaign. For lead generation purposes, listing campaigns are actually very good. However, they're short term. They're not very evergreen. And so this is one of the ways that you can work on getting leads, especially because when people are out there looking, when buyers are out there looking, they are looking for something maybe that they haven't seen on Zillow, they haven't seen on realtor.com. They're always searching sites. And so you'll see a lot of people will click through. They may or may not have a real estate agent. We'll talk about how we can kind of filter some of that out here in a bit. But your top copy should be something that does call out. And I'm going to share with you what has worked really well in Facebook world right now. Because of the special ads category, we really need to make sure that our copy is calling out. I would actually say this particular ad could have done a better job of actually calling out the area, calling out who they were talking to. But for the most part, if you see a house, you're probably not going to click on it unless you're interested in looking at houses, right? So those are all the pieces of an ad. When we talk about the copy, so that was our anatomy of an ad, let's talk about our copy. I like to, this is actually from another marketing agent, his name's Travis Tom, and he talks about copy as ADA. And so that you can see that's attention, interest, desire, and action. So the idea with our copy is we need to make sure that we get people to stop what they're doing and grab their attention. In terms of interest, you want to use that copy to give your audience something they'll be interested in. Potentially a list of homes, maybe a market update, maybe an idea of what's happening in the community. Depends on what your actual, I would say, objective with the ad is. For the most part, you want to make sure that you're giving them something that they might not have access to, and that's where interest comes in. Desire. What does your target audience want more than anything? If we're targeting buyers, what do they want? They want inventory that they don't have access to, right? So make this one of the things, and I talked about this book already last week when we were in Canva, but there's a book by Donald Miller called Story Brand, and he talks about how we want to be the guide, right? We want to be our customer's guide. And in our case, our customers are buyers and sellers. The idea is not to create copy that talks about what you do and how awesome you are as an agent, even though we are all awesome, I'm sure. But what you want to make sure that you're doing is making it about your customer and their journey and what they need. And so that's really what that desire part comes from in your copy. So calling out their pain points, calling out their desires, making sure that the ad copy kind of speaks to what they're wanting in their world. So, and then action, I think this is where a lot of real estate agents right now, in my mind, fail in their copy. A confused mind never buys, right? So that's one of the things we know. If I'm confused and I don't know what to do, what we want to make sure is that we're making a clear call to action within our ad copy so that it's very easy to know what to do next and how we can get the information or how the customer can get the information. So last week in the Canva class, we talked about how to create this grid image. And this is the reason this is actually one of the best performing parts of our ads is that it stops the scroll, because people go in here and they want to click and they want to try to make that image bigger, right? So you do really, one of the things in marketing as you start to think like a marketer, we do a lot of testing. So when I start a campaign, I almost always use 4 different kinds of images to test what works in our particular market, because I can say, while this is the one that performs the best the majority of the time, it's not all the time. There have been times when if my ad creative is a grid image, I might create a video slideshow which you can do also in Canva. You can also do that right within Facebook Ads Manager. We can create just a single image. Okay, so we have a grid image, a video, a single image, and a carousel image. And I typically run all 4 of those at first to see what performs best. In your market, it might be that the video is going to perform best, or maybe just a single image is going to perform best. The idea is that we test things before we say, hey, this is winning ad, right? In this case, what I would say is showcase more than one image from a listing, create some intrigue though, like don't give away the farm. That's the whole key to this. If you are doing this for lead generation purposes, don't give away the farm. Don't tell them the price. Don't tell them all the details. You know, create some curiosity. That's the whole idea. We stop the scroll and we want to make sure that we're taking them either off to a landing page or off to a lead form, which is a landing page within Facebook. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here shortly. But I want to kind of take you through how we run our campaigns. And obviously, some of this stuff is a little bit more advanced and will take some more time. I'm not going to be able to obviously go through every single one of these steps, but I want to show you what it looks like. The idea is that we're going to go from targeting. So and I'm going to talk about targeting. Sometimes we use open targeting, which means, and I'm going to go to this part. Let me go here actually, before we should have put this here. So targeting is, we might use broad targeting. That would be one way where we use no interest. So we basically just say, hey, we're going to put this out to Phoenix within 15-mile radius of a certain point, or maybe a certain county, potentially. I might put that out there and I might say nothing, I might not put anything, any kind of interest. We can then also do interest targeting. So this is considered one audience. This is considered another audience, interest targeting. And so in the interest targeting, you can imagine things like, you know, Fred sitting here and he's scrolling on his phone and he's going on realtor.com and he's going on Zillow and he's checking his credit rating on Credit Karma. You know, one of the things about Facebook is, and if you haven't watched it, I would recommend it. It kind of, it's just eye-opening, and I think it speaks to how things are going. But The Social Dilemma on, I think it's on Netflix. It's hard as a marketer because I use a lot of this interest targeting, which is really Facebook's way. They have like 50,000 data points on us as individuals. They know what we search. They are using all these data points to predict our future behaviors, really, right? So this interest targeting is really, hey, you know, Fred was on there looking at all these sites. It seems like probably in the future, he's looking to buy a home. Where I hear a lot of, I guess, from a lot of agents, they'll say, well, Facebook ads, they just, you know, they suck, they're not good. I hear that a lot, honestly, and you probably have had that same objection where I'm like, oh, they're not good. The thing is that what we have to realize is that Facebook is predicting future, you know, behaviors. And so for us, we're going to be what's called top of funnel, right? So these leads are going to be out probably somewhere between 3 to 9 months, maybe 12 months, because that's where what Facebook is doing is we're basically kind of fishing into the future. We're trying to figure out when and where these guys are going to buy, right? And so they will require nurturing. It is not going to be I'm handing you something that's already qualified. Now you may get lucky, and you know, obviously when you're fishing, sometimes you catch the whopper, right? So, but for the most part, you know, interest targeting will let us kind of figure out what those are. And so you have to test both broad targeting and interest targeting to see what you get better results with. Again, marketing is always about testing and figuring out what the best thing is. In some markets, broad targeting does really well. In others, we kind of need to add and layer on the interest because maybe we have too big. And, you know, obviously like Boston, Phoenix, some of these bigger cities, you might need to layer in interest just to get your audience size down to a little bit more manageable deal. The other way that we do targeting is through video views. And so you can, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this video view targeting, and what a campaign looks like. But one of the nice things that we can do in Facebook is create an audience of people who have engaged with a video of ours. So if you can imagine, say I make a video, a market update video, say for instance, for sellers, and say, you know, hey, right now, this time last year we were probably up about 50% more in inventory than what we are right now. It's very, very low inventory. It's very, very, you know, this is me just off the cuff talking, very low inventory. We definitely have more buyers than ever. It's the best time right now. If you're trying to sell your house, I'm telling you, like, this is the best time to do it. And we maybe do a 1-minute video. Say, we can retarget. You can imagine if somebody watched 15 seconds of, say, a 1-minute video, and it was about selling their home, you could probably imagine that they would be an interested seller potentially, right? They watched enough of the video to, you know, if I'm not a seller, I'm not going to listen to you talk about selling my home. You know, it's just that's how we are. Our attention is to the things that we want to watch. And so, but we can now retarget those people who have watched a certain percentage of that video with something new. So now we might say, hey, I have a list of the top 10 things that you can do to get your house ready to sell. I have this guide. Let me give you this guide. And if you're interested, let's just talk about, I can come see your house and we can talk about, or we can do a virtual tour and see the things that might make the biggest difference in making sure you get top dollar for your home. And so they'll see, and many of you guys probably have seen this where Facebook follows you around. It seems like you just did a search on Google and you were looking, I don't know, let's just say you were looking for a new car, and all of a sudden you get, you know, a whole bunch of stuff in your Facebook feed about cars and where you can go to get a new car. And, you know, so that is part of our retargeting strategy. It's because you clicked on a website or maybe on a video and watch something that somebody can retarget you and provide you with information that is maybe more likely for you to do. So let's go back and talk a little bit about the special ads category targeting, because this is the thing I was telling you, most people are getting their ads rejected. About a year ago or so, because of the Cambridge Analytica fallout with Facebook, ads, they decided that they would, there's several categories that are in special ad: credit, so that would be a mortgage industry as well, employment and real estate, and also political ads as well. So they are special ad categories. We are not allowed to discriminate. It is for your protection. I think it's a good thing. I think many people, when we made this, they made this change, they were like, oh no, we lost all of our really good targeting. I'm telling you, you can still get really good targeting even in the special ads category, even if you can't get down to that 1 mile radius that you were hoping to. In the special ads category, we are only allowed to go within 15 miles from a zip code, a city, a county. You can use all of those if you want to. You do have to use all ages 18 to 65, which in most cases, most 18-year-olds are not going to be buying a house. They're also probably not going to stop on your ad and click on it either. So that really doesn't hurt us. We do have to use all genders, you know, female and male. And then it does limit our interest. We used to be able to target, say, you know, maybe like realtors. We could exclude an audience of realtors. We are no longer able to really do a lot of the same exclusions. There are ways around it, and that's some of the things we teach in our boot camps that I do as well. So, but when you are in your ads manager, and this may not look familiar to you because you probably, most of you guys and most realtors that I run into are not doing things within the Facebook ads manager, and I'll show you how to get there and what to do with that here shortly. But do make sure that you do click on the special ads category and that you do click on housing, okay? What that does, you'll see, is that it limits us, making sure that we need to make sure that if we do create custom audiences that we don't discriminate against people. When you're running special ads in the category, you will not get the option to toggle on men or just women. And here we're going to have, it tells us that some of the detailed targeting options, you know, and interests are not available anymore, which is what I just said too. So you just want to make sure that you do select that. If your ads are getting rejected, it's more than likely the special ads category. So Paul, is there any questions yet at this point, or?
No, keeping an eye. There was earlier just about tracking the traction, but I know you were going to get into the ad manager in a little bit. So
yeah, absolutely. So okay. Um, so so when we do an offer, say for and lists of homes are a good way to kind of have an evergreen. And I say evergreen, it probably will last anywhere from 4 to 6 months for you. But if you think about calling out your audience, so you'll notice here, like this says, attention Orlando home buyers. We want to actually call out our audience. I almost always put that on my very first line of the copy. That helps Facebook optimize what they are doing and how they are going to go after anybody. So that part tells them that, hey, we want to look at people that are in Orlando. We want to look at or interested in Orlando area homes, and we want people that are interested in buying. So then we want to provide an offer. Now, one of the things that Facebook changed also within the last 3 years is they only will show on mobile, you only get 3 lines to show. So you really want to make sure that your offer and your call to action gets put within those first 3 lines. We will talk typically about pricing or budgets in that first couple of lines. Like this one happens to be something that was listed $10,000 below market value. You could say, hey, we're offering a list of homes under the median price, because at the median price, people will think, oh, that's a bargain. Let me see what's in our bargain homes. You can offer a list of foreclosures. You can offer a list of VA ready homes. It really depends on what your target clients are and who you want to attract. But the idea is we want to provide something of value, right? You can see we're using emojis in here, just something to stop the scroll. Even that part will help stop the scroll. You'll do some pain points and desires, right? So this is what we were talking about here. Looking for the best deal, right? That's speaking to these buyers and them wanting to have the best deal. And now we're going to say, and when you see here, clear call to action and clear offer above the fold. Like I said, we only get 3 lines. Make sure that you tell them, click learn more now to get full details, pictures, and listing price. Now you'll notice we repeated the click learn more down here. That is okay, because when people click on, you'll see it, and you've probably seen it on ads. They click and say see more on it, it will reveal the rest of this. So if they're really interested, they'll click on the see more. But when you provide details about this home, here, don't provide everything. Provide a little bit of details about it, because maybe they're not looking for a 3,000 square foot home in that particular area. If you want to, you can call out a little bit more of their pain points. In this case, we're saying, hey, you can get this particular home for less than $920 per month. That's on the list. You can talk to your mortgage broker if you're not sure how to, what's your list of homes, like what the price point is for a payment. But this is really calling out even people that are renting, right? Because it says stop paying your landlord's mortgage, create security for yourself and your family. We're calling out some of the things that a buyer might be looking for, especially if they're in the rental side of it. So, and then the last part of this, if you can, add some scarcity. Hurry, things like this won't last. This list will be, gone in the next 24 hours, however you want to say, but just make sure you kind of create a little bit of scarcity. And then the idea is that we create a call to action down here as well, that gives us highlight of the price and the desires, and creates, I like to use the learn more button, because that is a little bit softer call to action on that. So that's our offer breakdown. This is where I was talking about, these are some of our more high performing ad copies and different kinds of ads that we use. So a single listing ad, a new build list. If you have any new builds in your area, that's new build communities, that's actually doing pretty well right now too, just because most of the time, because inventory has been so low, getting into a new build is a little bit more of a guarantee for some people. Like they don't have to bid against people, they can just go put their deposit down. So list of homes under a certain median price, list of off-market properties potentially, or things like that. People are looking for, as I said, deals. And then in terms of sellers, you can provide market reports or home valuations. Those are things that, that will work too for sellers. So how are we going to capture their information? Facebook has made it very easy to stay on the platform and to create a landing page, which is right on the on that platform. So this is what's called the lead generation objective. The lead generation objective we create a lead form in here. And so this is just an example of a lead form that we did in Fayetteville. We basically we put a little bit of copy in here, and this should match, you know, number one, the image should match the ad. So you can see we did a grid style image here, and the copy should match what's in the ad as well. You want to make sure you're very congruent going from basically your lead form into, or I'm sorry, from your ad into your lead form. We typically will ask 1 or 2 questions. Lately, we've been asking if they do have a home to sell, in addition to, are they working with a realtor? Now, a lot of times, I can say this just happened to us yesterday. I did a live transfer for a client yesterday who, a buyer who was already pre-qualified up to 500,000, and he had a realtor, but he had not signed a buyer's agreement with that realtor. We transferred them over to our realtor who we were doing the lead generation for, and you know, they're meeting. So if she can get a signed buyer's agreement with him, and he didn't really like the other realtor, so that was one thing that was good. Hopefully she can close that deal. And now, you know, in the matter of, we've been doing lead generation for about 3 months or so, she'll have a closed deal hopefully here in the next 3 months on it. So you can see we are capturing the full name, their phone number, their email. Always get name, email, phone number. Facebook does auto populate this. So you do need to think about the fact that possibly not possibly, it happens, about 20 to 25% of these leads might be bad as far as phone numbers go, because it's auto populating, and a lot of times people just will click through. Because they have to answer a question, though, sometimes I think it helps to kind of get them to pause and maybe look at that information. Also, you have to remember they don't know you. And so right now they're the coldest of cold that they can be. They don't have any idea who you are. So they may provide not a good working phone number. I mean, it is a strategy. I want the information, but I don't want people to call me, right? So just be aware that that is part of the game of all of this. All right. So it will come to a thank you page when they submit. It'll say, thanks, you're all set. Your information's been sent to whatever. You can actually change any of this wording that you want to. In our case, what we do is we say, let's get instant access to your list of homes in Messenger. So in our case, we create a campaign and try to customize their list by qualifying them further. We take them through a chatbot messenger qualifying. I didn't want to take it out of Sarah's account only because, and she's doing the same, we're doing the same thing there, but I just didn't want her things because her campaign is live, mine is not. So, but basically in the chatbot, we can automate and we can ask them, you know, let's customize this list for you. So the first thing they'll see is the download of the list. We don't want to not give them the list. I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like we don't want to do a bait and switch or anything on them. We want to give them a list. You might want to have it qualify first, then give them the list so that you can get a little bit more information about them. But, you know, we'll ask questions like, when are you looking to purchase? What price range? Have you been pre-approved by a lender? You know, what size home are you looking for? How many minimum bedrooms do you need? You can ask as much as you want to within the chatbot. They're just kind of going through thinking, okay, I'm going to customize my list. And so if you have not heard of chatbots yet, you know, they basically can help you deliver information. They can further qualify. You can actually collect lead information in there as well and send out text and email reminders straight from what's called ManyChat is what I use for the messenger stuff. And I'll show you that here in about, we'll be there in about 5 minutes or so. The idea, once we get them through all of that qualification, is that we make sure we get them into our CRM. So we do this with a program called Zapier. It's Z-A-P-I-E-R, Zapier, that takes them straight from Facebook leads into, you can take them into your CRM. You can take them to a Google Sheet, which is free. So if you don't have a CRM, we use what's called an awesome agent CRM, but it basically has automated, you know, text, email, follow-up, voice drops, we can send out, you know, a whole bunch of things as well. So I think, Paula, do you guys at Berkshire have a CRM that has all that automation already in there?
Yep, so we have Sage, and also we have Real Scout, which is new. So you can actually take these leads and move them right into there, which is set up really to help you nurture and convert them. So
yeah, absolutely. So you know, in terms of, so Real Scout I know is pretty much for IDX based searches, right? So that they can, it's their home property search. Is that correct?
yeah, it's their property search, and it lets them sort of, you know, work around different things.
Okay.
Way more categorization than we have in our other tools at the moment. So
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, Zapier is a way that you can get them from Facebook into Real Scout, and there may even be an integration straight from Lead Ads into Real Scout, but that might be something that you guys can talk to with your marketing person there at Berkshire as well for that. But essentially, that's the whole campaign at a glance. You know, our idea is that, you know, we follow up with them as many ways as we can, and in our system, typically for follow-up, we will call leads for 5 days in a row. And we're following up with them along with texts and emails as well. And then we put them on a long-term drip campaign for 180 days where we send them out informational emails, things like, you know, that are of value. And I know you guys have some campaigns like that you have available to you guys as well. So, so that's kind of the campaign at a glance. I do want to just kind of show you ManyChat. If you want to take your phones out and go ahead and scan this QR code, it's going to take you into a way to kind of just connect with me on Facebook Messenger as well. But you can kind of see what a flow looks like. You will need to make sure that you click on Get Started in order for the flow to get going. And it's probably the one thing that that I see quite often is like people will scan, and if you scan with your phone, you should see a link pop up on your, and it's just with your camera, right, on your phone. If you open your camera app, we all have now QR code scanners on them. You point it at it. This is something that you can use on, you know, you can create it on your sign writers. You could create business cards with this so that when you connect with somebody, you just show them your QR code and then they send you their information, their phone number and their email, and you can, you know, at least connect with them that way. All contactless, which is really important right now in this world that we're in, which it sounds like we might be until like 2022 when I was listening to the news last night. So, but the idea really is to have a way to engage with people, right? And to have conversations with them. And so, I'm not going to leave this up too much longer because I do want to go into Ads Manager, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about like what that is and how to get onto that part of things. So, okay, we'll come back to.
Someone's having an issue scanning because of the type of phone. I know. I think if you're on an Android, you actually need, like for mine, I need a QR scanner app.
The new ones shouldn't. I mean,
well, older. So I think if you have a little bit of an older phone, then you need a QR scanner app. If it's not, if the picture doesn't automatically take you right in, then that's what you want to look for.
Yeah, and sometimes on the pixelation of the screen, it sometimes it's hard for it to pick it up too. So, you know, when Paula sends this out to you guys, she can, you know, you guys can scan it maybe off of like where you'll have a little bit more time to kind of play around with it too. So, but just take a look at it and see the things that are possible to kind of look through. It looks like, I know Jamal looks like just got through because I can see I'm getting notifications popping up on here too. So awesome. At least that's working. So I'm going to go out right now. I'm going to come into my what's my ads manager. Okay. So if you have not done this, you know, number one, you do need to have a Facebook business page to advertise from. So if you are only still working from a personal page, I would really highly recommend that you go into Facebook and create a business page. If you need help with that, definitely at the end of this, just either send me a text message or send me an email. I'll be happy to send you. I have a guide on how to set up a Facebook business page and the ads manager as well. It'll walk you through the video. I have videos of that I can send to you guys. So just either if you connect with me via Messenger, connect with me via text, I'll give you that information at the end. But the ads manager is where we really are going to go to to be able to control what we're doing. If you're boosting posts right now, it's okay. It's not the greatest ad technique, but Facebook really makes it very easy for us to boost posts. They kind of want you to waste money, I'll tell you that much. And boosting is not horrible. I would say it's not like the worst thing that you can do, because it is still getting it, but you are not getting in front of the audience you want to get in front of. It's really that, and I think that's the really key thing, is that boosting will put it in front of the Facebook audience that Facebook wants to do. Now they've made it a little bit more customizable now, the boosting feature, but I would tell you, like, in terms of having a little bit more leverage on your data, we want to go through and probably do that here. Now,
just real quick, when you're working in Ad Manager, do they have to be on a desktop, or can they manage that through their phones?
You do mostly need to do this on the desktop. There is an app where you can do a little bit of management, where you can kind of see what's happening with the campaign, and you can make some changes on the app itself. But for the most part, this part really does need to be done within the desktop app. It's a lot more efficient that way. So now you won't have as many things as I have. Obviously, I manage a lot of different accounts. So you guys will only have, probably, you will need to create an ad account, and you will need to create a page. And again, I do have a video that goes through that. I'm not going to go through that part today. I want to just show you what happens in here. We're going to go into the Ads Manager, and I'm going to show you the campaign that we were working with on Sarah. Let's see if I can. So in the Ads Manager itself, you can see there's 3 tabs here. We have a campaign tab, we have an ad set tab, and we have an ads tab. Okay, this is what I call the 3 levels of an ad. And so you have to almost think about it like a tree, a tree diagram. At the top, you have campaigns. We can branch off and we can create ad sets. So when we were talking about audiences earlier and the kinds of audiences that we can create, we would want to potentially maybe branch off into a broad audience and maybe an interest-based audience, or we could create a video view audience. That was one of the 3 audiences that we talked about earlier. So that's really ad set. The way I think about ad sets, that's my audience. Okay, and so I can have as many different audiences as I want under one campaign. You can, like I said, you can kind of think about it like a tree diagram where it branches off. And you know, so if I look at, I'm going to show you Sarah's campaign in here. Let me, that we're running right now. So we're running right now a list of homes, but targeting VAs. She works with a lot of military buyers, and she's in an area where they have a lot of military buyers. When you look at this, right now I'm at the campaign level. So I'm going to click on this and you'll see one thing is selected. So one campaign is selected. Now, when I go over to the ad set tab, it shows how many different ad sets are underneath that one campaign. When we ran this a 15-mile radius with no interest, a 25-mile radius with interest, a 15-mile radius with interest, and a 25-mile radius with no interest. So what happened is, you can kind of see in these ad sets, I've got 2 turned on and I've got 2 turned off, because in this case, these ones were the ones that were performing the best, and they were giving us the lowest cost per lead. Okay, so we're seeing, I don't know what you guys have paid for leads in the past, but you can see she's getting under $2 leads in one of these audience, and that's with a 15-mile radius and no interest. Whereas this one's a 25-mile radius and interest. It's a little higher, but not so high that I would want to turn it off, and it's still producing quite a few leads. So what these ones were doing, though, like this one with the 25-mile radius and no interest, was too high, $6.80, like in her area, and for that price point, that's too high to pay for a lead. You want to kind of try to keep it under $5 per lead and $5 cost per result. That's really what that means. But we can talk about our click-through rate. We'll have to change our view here, because right now we're on the performance side of things. I want to come in here and I want to look at performance and clicks. So if we look at the click-through rate, so that's CTR, click-through rate, this is a percentage of time people saw your ad and performed a link click. So you can see In all of these cases, except for this one, which was one we turned off, we're above 1%. So we're doing better than the industry average on all of these. And if we go back to the campaign level here, we can really see like overall in the campaign, we're still above 3.19. We did really, really well with this one. You know, this was a prior ad that we ran that was for a listing. We were getting 6%. You will get higher click-through rates on listings because it's what people are looking for and inventory is low right now. So you will see higher click-through rates on those kinds of ads. So we go here. So you can imagine there's 4 different, you know, branches off of this. I'm just going to show you one of these branches. So let's just say we take the 15-mile radius. So now I've got one campaign selected and only one ad set selected. Now I can see what the ads are for that one ad set. We actually ran 4 different ads for each of those ad sets. Now, I would not recommend, as you guys are just getting started, that this is the same strategy you take. This is something that we do because we are playing with somebody else's money. You know, it is not our money. So we're trying to make sure that we get the best return on their ad spend that we can. And so for you, you're going to know it's your own money. You're going to know whether or not you're getting a good return on your ad spend, and you can test things as they go. So in this case, we turned off 3 of the other ads because you can see we really weren't getting as many link clicks on them. This one was actually getting a fairly good link click through, but we weren't getting as many. So we turned those ones off. And the cost per results were getting higher. So I went through and you can see the number of results that I was getting wasn't as much. So, but this particular ad set is doing very, very well in terms of the frequency is how many times the ad's being shown to somebody on their website. So as they go through Facebook, we can see this particular ad has had a reach. And if you look at the definition of reach, is really just the number of people who saw your ads at least once, right? Reach is different from impressions. Impressions might be like how many times, maybe I scrolled up and then I scrolled back down and I came back up. You know, I might see an ad that's 3 impressions, but if I stop on it for 3 seconds, that's going to be a reach. Okay. And so you will see impressions will be higher than reach on this. But really, this is the kinds of things that you're going to want to do when we go in and we look at campaigns. And let me show you, actually, let me go back to that ad. So I'll show you this ad too. We'll preview it on here. So let me show this actually in my my desktop newsfeed so you can kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so here's the ad itself, like what we were running. So you notice I had to click see more. So the first 3 lines were all that was shown. So we said, attention veterans, home buyers. Are you looking to buy a home to keep your family together? We're talking about pain points, right? We want to, maybe one's living on base and the other's living in an apartment off, you know, shore. So, you know, do you want to get into something? Click learn more to get your list of homes under 160K. Okay. We said the same almost, you know, call to action down here as well. We highlighted some of the things that people might want to be looking for. And then we also called out, if you want to buy a new home, you can take advantage of 0 down payment. That is part of the veterans program. We'll make it easy for you. We'll help you get qualified. And so you can kind of see what happens here. I'm not going to, well, I'll click on this right now. I don't think it's going to give me anything here because I've already opted in. It won't let me opt in again. But you can see this is the thank you page. And what we've done with our button, rather than saying download now or anything, we say click continue. That lets people know that they need to go through the ad and there's something more to do, right? So it seems like a continuation of putting their information in and all of that. And that's where we'll take them into Messenger. And I showed you that Messenger campaign from there. So the idea really, like I said, is just to kind of get to, you know, what the pain points are, what the desires are. And as I said, these grid images are really something that perform really well for us. So is there any questions yet in the
So we did have a question on suggestions on how and where to create a landing page of the lead capture forms.
Sure. Okay, so it is part of the ad process. So let me really quickly show you what that looks like. If I go into a campaign, let me do this in a different account so that I have a kind of dummy account that I use a little bit more. So if I click into create, here's our objective. So whereas boosting is the only thing that you have in your ads manager on your business page, here we have a lot of different things. This is the one that you're going to use for that. So we're going to use a lead generation campaign objective. And so what you'll see here, I'm just going to hit continue right now. Like you can actually come through and name it right here, but I'm just going to click continue because I want to show you what that looks like when you get in here. What you'll notice up here is we have campaign, a new ad set, a new ad. So it gives us one campaign, one ad set, one ad to work with. Notice special ad categories. I am going to want to click that on, and I am going to want to say that I am doing this for housing. Okay. It does show you it kind of, if you click on here, what the category, what the particular things are that you need to kind of keep in mind with this. So you can go in there and look at that as well. Basically what we're going to do from here is just hit next, because once we get all of that in there, we're done. You'll want to make sure that you come in and you pick the right page. So I'm going to go to I'll just pick my Denise Nunley page right now. The first time you come in, it's going to say, so I haven't run any lead generation off of this particular ad account, but it says you need to accept the lead generation terms of service. You can certainly view them if you want to, and you have to in order to agree, right? And you can read through, but basically it tells you the things that will happen and how potentially you could lose your ability to advertise. So just make sure you agree to that. Once you've agreed, you don't have to ever agree again. So that's kind of the good thing. Now, remember I said ad set is our audience and our budget. That's where we're going to set our budget up as well. So let's just say a recommended budget for us would be typically somewhere between $300 to $500, and it really depends on your area. In a more highly competitive area, where like Fayetteville, North Carolina, we get away with $300 for sure. Like she's fine with spending that much, especially when you think about leads are under $2. She's generating quite a few leads for her $300. So in Phoenix, though, I'm seeing right now our average is somewhere around $5 to $6. It's just a little bit more competitive right now here. And the same thing, I'm seeing that in Texas as well right now. So you'll have to kind of play around with what your lead costs are. If they get a little too high, start thinking about ways that you can change up some of the 5 things that we talked about: your ad copy, your image, or headline. Don't change too many things at once. And actually in marketing, when you're testing things and trying to make things better, one thing at a time. I typically start with an ad creative first, and then we go like the actual picture or the video or whatever. And then I go to the headline, and then I go to the ad copy. That's kind of the order that I work in. But let's just say I do $10 a day. That's roughly $300. You can tell it when to start, when to end. I don't ever put end dates on it because if it's doing well, I don't want to do anything that direction. Now our location is where we want to come in next and figure something out. So we don't want to advertise to the entire United States. We do want to get a little bit more targeted. So for me, like if I put in Boston in here, it's going to come up with, well, Boston, South Australia. We don't want that one. We want Boston, Massachusetts. And you'll see like I have 15-mile radius. I can go higher, but I cannot go lower. So that's as low as we can go. And if you look at that, the potential reach right now is 2 million people. So that's how many people I could potentially get put in front of. Whoops, I don't want to scroll through there. My age requirements, again, because I'm in the special ad category, I can't click on any of that because I'm in the special ad category. So you don't get to change that. You don't get to change the gender. Here's where the targeting comes into play. So for broad targeting, I'm not going to edit this at all. We're going to leave any detailed targeting off. When you want to create, excuse me, some kind of interest, we can come in here and let's talk about potentially, I don't know if Credit Karma will come up or not. Nope. Let's try Zillow. Interesting. Every single week, I will tell you interest change. So I don't know why it's not. Normally Zillow is off as an option in here. Maybe because I'm on Zoom. There we go. I was like, sometimes on Zoom, it just takes smaller. So I can put on Zillow. People who are in Zillow typically are looking for homes. You can click on suggestions and add in homes.com, house hunting, first time buyer. You can add in all these interests that you want. Every time you add in interests, it will reduce your, well, not reduce, it could be reducing or adding to your audience. We went from 2 million people down to now 300,000. You know, so just play around with the interest. And like, again, if you're going to change your audience, only change one thing at a time to kind of make sure that you're really looking at what that part is. So I'm not going to go through all of this right now. We'll leave it at automatic. I typically do a manual placement, but just leave it at automatic for right now, so that I can show you where the lead form is. So we'll go back here. When we go into the ad part of this, we'll come down and I am going to do a boot camp on all of this, walking through this. So I'm not going to walk through this part again. But this is where you're going to do all of your ad creative, and you kind of just walk through this part. But the form itself, if I want to create an instant form, this is where I'm going to come in and create the form. And so you have all of these intros. You can, I would say, use the image from your ad. You have a greeting. So here's our headline. Here is the headline. Oops, I can't type though. You can create, you know, more details here. I can add questions into here. So there's pre-filled questions of emails, you know, maybe name, email, and I want to add in phone number. That's where I get the contact information. I can also, you do need to tell people how you are using their information. You know, we will send you property information is all you have to really worry about here. And you can add custom questions. This is where we might come in and do a multiple choice and say, do you have a home to sell? And we would put no or yes. And so they would search. Now they have the option of clicking on this, and then the next page on here is going to be their contact information. You will need to put a privacy policy in. This is one way where you'll get in trouble with lead ads, is if you do not put a link to Berkshire Hathaway's privacy policy. Just search it on the internet. If you just type in Berkshire Hathaway privacy policy, it should bring up a link page, and you just copy the link and add it into here, and you're done. Okay. And then on the completion, this is your thank you page. So here's where you can direct them in a different way. And so the call to action would be view a website. If we're going to go to ManyChat, if you're offering a download, you can do that as well. So, you know, and basically tell them where they're going to go to get their download and what link they're going to use to get a download. So, so that's really kind of in a like hugely crazy quick you know, way where how we go through and build an ad on this. Whoops, I'm gonna hit cancel on here. I'm sure there's probably some questions.
Yeah, let's open that back up. Jamal was asking, his Facebook won't let him do manual ad placements. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. We could certainly take a look at it and you know, basically, I don't know, we can figure out what I mean, if he and I think he and I are meeting tomorrow, so tell him like I'll be happy to, we can walk through it and double check with things. So we'll do a screen share and he can walk me through it. So yeah, that'll be good.
And then Sherry was asking if you can do ads in different states looking for relocation clients to the Boston area.
Absolutely. That is one of the things. I know you guys are getting some people from New York and from Canada and things like that too. So you can target by different areas. So if you want to just go to the state, you know, to the state of New York, and your ad copy would be different, obviously, because you're not talking about, you know, you want to talk about relocating. You want to call out, you know, hey, thinking about relocating to Boston. you know, that kind of thing. You want to make sure that you are calling out who you want to call out. So,
And then there was a question. I think you had a link, or you were going to put something up. They're looking for a program where they can meet with you one-on-one for a session, like with questions or a little bit of a overview.
yeah, absolutely. So let me go back to here on this link. If you go through and do the registration on the download page, there is a calendar, like it says schedule a marketing session with me. So just if you'll go through and register there, like I said, that's all free, you guys. I'm happy just to look and see what you have going. We can I can help you download your business manager. We can do all of that within this marketing session. So this will take you to the ad copy that we use for our buyer leads. So that's it's going to be a Word doc that has basically all of this in it. You are welcome to kind of take it. This is all the things that we've kind of used in the past year or so that has worked. You know, and we constantly, I try to add to it. So if you have access to it and we add anything to it, you'll get the addition to it as well. So, you know, so there's that link. I also have, just so that
So
you guys,
somebody just said the link appears to be broken, but make sure, Nick, you're typing in the dot between the rebrand.ly.
yeah, it should.
I know a couple of people have been in, so I don't think the link.
Let me see. I'm going to give you this link, Paula, in the chat really quick, and maybe this will, can I, oh no, where's it at? Is there only Q&A?
No, there's a chat too.
Why do I only have Q&A?
No, yeah.
That's weird. Okay, let me see if there's, oh, there it is. I see the chat. Okay, try that. Okay. And see if that direct link will get you there. And then also, I'm going to put my book with me page on here as well so that you guys have it in the chat. Probably easier. So there should be two links. One is to get the download as the top one, and then the bottom one is the book with me page, which will, you know, basically kind of go here. So,
so the big piece here, Denise, too. I mean, this is really, and this has been very helpful. I know for a lot of people, it does get a little overwhelming because there's a lot of context here, and it gets, you just start to get into that ad manager. But, you know, this is to sort of help you get a strategy in place and start to think about this process, get that Facebook business page set up, make sure you sort of strategize, either using her materials or sitting down one-on-one with Denise or looking out there, you know, have a plan. What are you going to do? You're going to take listings. You're going to try to drive some buyers to you. These get good traction out there in the Boston area, these ads.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think also it starts to get you brand awareness as well, because people start to see eyes and they're like, oh, I saw her, you know, or him, or whatever it happens to be. They start seeing your name over and over, and you start to become recognized. The more really, it's a relationship business. You need to keep providing value, try to find ways that you can even just provide, you know, checklists for first-time home buyers, or ways to move out of an apartment into, you know, a townhome or something along those lines. There's a lot of different ways, and you guys should, I'm sure in your marketing department, have access to a lot of different lead magnets potentially that you can offer to people to start getting them to recognize you in your area. And so, you know, video is another way, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. But at some point, I would love to, you know, even help you guys figure out how to create a video funnel. We do a lot of that also, just because it creates not only brand awareness, but trust, that know, like, and trust factor too, because people are getting to know your face. So
and we have a great tool with Videolicious. It's already branded. It's so easy to just grab your phone and shoot and start to get some stuff out there in front of folks. So
yeah, absolutely. If anybody needs my contact information too, here's my direct contact information. Feel free to, like I said, text me, email me. I'm responsive. So, and then hopefully if you got through the QR code, or if you're watching this on the replay and you go through the QR code, we'll be connected on Facebook as well. So it'll be good.
So one of the questions is, can you post a 40-second video?
Yep, absolutely. You know, when you're for retargeting purposes, really, we only want to get them to watch about 25% of the video or 15 seconds, maybe even. So, and then we can retarget them. So it really, I say a minute, but if all your video is 40 seconds, that's still enough to capture attention. So.
Key there is not to go too long, right?
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, 3 minutes really at the max for most, especially on Facebook. YouTube obviously has a lot more. You can go longer on like YouTube, and if you have the ability to do IGTV on Instagram, you can. The one thing about Ads Manager, and I didn't really say this, you are able to advertise both on Facebook and Instagram within the Ads Manager. And so they are linked together, and you can actually customize your placements for each of those so that it comes out the right way and how you would like it on each of the platforms. So you know, just keep that in mind. Like I said, I'm happy to, if you want the how to set up your business manager and that video, just make sure you send me an email or send me a text, and I'll figure out how to get that to you guys. So we'll connect somehow.
Great. I don't see any other questions out there. This was a lot of information, Denise. We really appreciate your time and your generosity with all the tools that you have to share with folks.
Absolutely.
We will definitely be talking about some more sessions, I think, going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to come back. So everybody have a wonderful rest of your week.